and read. And as always, if this is your first time to the channel, a special welcome to you. Well, it's a new week and we have a new lesson. So, what are we going to be learning about today? Today's lesson, the stranger test. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a second, the stranger test? What is that? Oh, do you mean stranger danger?
Uh-oh, stranger danger, stranger.
No, not stranger danger. The stranger test is something that special ed teachers use to help them write better IEPs. The stranger test is what we call it when we're trying to make an IEP easier to read so that if a parent or an administrator reads the IEP, they'll be able to understand what it is. And it makes the IEP more compliant. The stranger test means that anyone looking at a student's goals could implement them, assess progress, and determine whether the progress is satisfactory. So these are some examples of IEPs that may not pass the stranger test. This is a goal that reads decrease inappropriate verbal behavior. Well, this would not pass the stranger test because different people might define inappropriate and or verbal behavior differently. What one person considers inappropriate, another person might not necessarily consider it that way. Here's another. Little Johnny will improve their mathematics scores. Well, this would not pass due to the fact that the statement doesn't define what the scores are or by how much they will improve them. And then using the race strategy, the student will correctly answer the question. This would not pass the stranger test because not all schools use race or know what it stands for. RACE stands for restate the question, answer the question, cite with evidence, and provide examples. Some schools use the RAD method, restate the question, answer the question, and include two details. So depending on what school you're going to or what special ed teacher that reads this, they may not necessarily know what the RACE strategy is. And if you're a parent and you've never heard of the RACE strategy, it might sound confusing. So that's the stranger test. It doesn't mean that we're going to be sharing your student's IEP with just any random person. The only person outside of the school system that might have access to it is the Department of Education. And occasionally they will pull IEPs at random, not necessarily to snoop on the kids, but just to make sure that the IEPs are compliant. And if one of these IEPs gets pulled and it doesn't pass the stranger test, then the school could be cited for this, and the teacher could be told that they need to redo the IEP. So that's why special ed teachers always try to make sure that their IEPs pass the stranger test. So at the next annual case conference, whenever you go through the IEP, if you're able to understand it, you can thank the stranger test. And feel free to bring that up in an IEP meeting and say, does this IEP pass the stranger test? I think the special ed teachers would be really impressed. So, if you liked what you saw today, you learned something new, or you're new to the channel, please click that like button. And if you want updates on future videos, feel free to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for updates on future videos. And as always, if you have any questions about special education or there's a particular topic in special ed that you would like me to cover, feel free to drop a line in the comments section and I'd be happy to go over it. And until next time, class dismissed.